all these people trying to get skinnier, but sometimes they think it is about health because they think skinny is healthy, and that's just not how it works. The reason eating disorders exist for a lot of people is because food is one of the easiest things to control when you feel like your life is out of control. Validating those feelings, like, yeah, I feel anxious about this, like, it's okay for me to feel anxious about this, it's brand new, I'm only human, I can do hard things. And I think that's the other thing, is not having a time frame, just being like, I am just going to keep going until I'm better, and I don't care how long that takes me. The framework of what looking after ourselves is, especially in other people of other generations, is just being skinny. People with especially in later life, but also when we get ill, survive longer.
What does it look like to pursue fitness as an athlete in a larger body and to do it on your own terms? Today, we're joined by a guest different than many other guests that we've had on the podcast. Bethany Robinson is an athlete and a powerful voice reshaping what strength looks like both physically and culturally. She's known for her relentless work ethic and raw, honest content. She's built a community by showing the real side of training, competition, and life as a female athlete. What stands out to me about this conversation is she's still figuring it out. She doesn't claim to be an expert. This is a raw, honest conversation about her experience that I feel so many of you guys can relate to. In this conversation, we talk about building strength and confidence without trying to shrink yourself, learning how to train in a way that actually supports your body, and navigating a toxic relationship with food. You'll walk away with real ways to build trust with yourself, regain confidence, and keep moving forward even when it's messy. This is a raw, honest conversation with a woman who's still figuring it out. But aren't we all? Hey guys, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I have a great guest for you guys today, which I am personally excited to have an amazing conversation with you, Bethany. Bethany Robinson. We are so excited to hear about your journey, hear where you are, where you were, where you're going, and some thoughts on current events. But I'm just really excited that you came on with us today.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here. Really
I think a lot of our community might be familiar with you, Bethany, because you had a pretty viral video doing pull-ups. Number one, pull-ups are very hard, and you were crushing it. So amazing.
I've had a few. Was it butterfly pull-ups or strict pull-ups? Yeah,
yes.
butterfly.
I have personally seen them all. I think the first one was the butterfly. Was that the first one that had gone?
Yeah, they normally, people hate them, right? Especially
people
if
hate
someone
them.
my size doing them.
Yeah. People literally hate this. So I've had a couple of videos with doing butterfly pull-ups as well that have just like hit the wrong side of the internet. One was just doing them as a human, and then you have all of the men who've never done a pull-up in their life come out of the woodwork and be like, that's not pull-ups. And then I was very pregnant doing them. And then of course the same people came out to tell me how like unsafe it was. And I was like,
yeah, you'll straight up get people saying like you're gonna unalive your unborn child. I got that. I trained the whole way through pregnancy and the same.
Which is just a wild experience because women cannot do anything right for the internet.
No.
No matter what we're doing, we're being super fit doing it, we're being pregnant doing amazing things, but like none of it is right. So I kind of wanted to jump in to just your experience with that, because that is, you know, being in the spotlight is a very interesting thing for anyone. How did that go for you? How did that experience go for you?
Yeah, so basically since I've existed on the internet, I've been hated on the internet for existing in a larger body. Even when I was skinny, I was like muscular, and like I was told I looked like a man, like I just a lot of attacks on my body. And then also lots of really insecure men that could probably lift a lot less than me getting really mad at me for being strong or being fit, and then telling me that I'm not fit, or just basically everything you can think of. And then also when I got pregnant, people telling me that I was gonna kill my child, or loads of other stuff. That I was like, that I should be losing weight whilst being pregnant, which is ridiculous. And also I was, because I had HG and I was vomiting like 7 times a day. So, and that was really dangerous to be doing. Obviously. But yeah, I just had loads of horrible people saying horrible things, and I don't ever check my notifications because it just happens all the time. But I know it's mostly insecurity and projection, so I tend to ignore it. But I know a lot of people couldn't cope with the stuff that I hear.
100%. And I think that from like, at a smaller scale, I think that a lot of people can resonate with that feeling like just everything that they're going to do is not good enough, is, just the hate, and maybe they're not going to put themselves out there because of that. But I do want to counter that with, there was a lot of hate, but there was a lot of love too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of people, which is how we connected, being like, "You are amazing. You are such an inspiration." And giving a lot of women hope for what your body could do at different phases, through
Yeah.
pregnancy, different sizes, what the ability level could look like with a body that maybe they're not used to seeing do such amazing things. How did that feel?
Yeah, really good. That's one of the reasons I did it really, because I can actually take the backlash. I didn't mind, and it was worth it to get through to the people that I really wanted to get through to, because there's this narrative that we have that in order to be able to get better at gymnastics within CrossFit, or get better at stuff that involve body weight movements, or even stuff like running, that you have to lose weight or be lighter in order to get better at it, and that's simply not true. And like, I experienced it myself. I was trying to get better at gymnastics. I was trying to lose muscle to get, well, not lose muscle, lose fat, but lose weight in total, and I was losing muscle and I was getting weaker. And the way I got better is I gained muscle. I started to do more strict pull-ups. I started to actively gain muscle and therefore weight. And then that's how I got to the best I ever was at gymnastics. I was like 81 kilos, I think, when I could literally do like string together ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups and all sorts. So, and then even when I got heavier than that, I continued to be able to do butterfly pull-ups, strict pull-ups, like all of it. Toast bar, handstand push-ups, even over 100 kilos. I could do handstand push-ups. I've kind of moved out of that sort of stuff now, but yeah. And I just wanted to get through that it doesn't actually matter what size you are. It's more about the strength that you've built. And if you don't bother building the strength, then you won't be able to do it. There are loads of skinny people that I've known that have not been able to do the gymnastic skills, and I have, and it's nothing to do with body size.
100%. And I think redefining what that looks like with those such high skills, like those are incredible skills for the, average person going around. Those are like 2% of the population skills. And when you think about fitness in that way, about you falling within that small percentage of the human population, being able to do these things, and then people on the internet being like, "Mm-mm." It's
You're
like,
not fit. Like,
I'm sorry,
okay.
one does not equal the other, and that just shows how ingrained it is in our society to equal a body size, to equate a body size to an
Yeah.
ability level, which is just not true.
Yeah. I mean, like, so now I do rugby. That's like my main thing at the moment, and that's a real good example of like how body size literally doesn't matter. I play 80-minute games. I'm running around for 80, or is it 90 minutes? I don't even know. I'm new to rugby. I'm running around for a very long time, and I'm clearly fit, and I'm running into people, and there are people, I'm surrounded by people that are my size and bigger, and we're all fucking fit. Sorry, can I swear? We're
Yes.
all fit, and we're proof. And also, like, does anyone say that about male rugby players, male football players, any men that are in sport that are fit and also big? Do we say that about them? No. So,
They're just allowed to be the fittest that they can be within the body size that they are, and that is where that the just the whole perception changes, because like men are just allowed to be the fittest, the most elite athlete that you could be within whatever body frame that you are. And if we could just like as a society get on board with that, but honestly individually it needs to start with us. So I want to talk about some mindset things, and I'm glad you brought up rugby because I want to rewind a little bit to growing up and feeling self-conscious with your body and what that looked like, what that felt like, because going from there to where you are now is kind of it's a big transformation. And I think for a lot of women listening to this, or a lot of people listening to this, they're going to think like, well, how do I get there? And it's not overnight, right?
no.
So
No.
can you talk to me a little bit about like when you first started feeling self-conscious with your body, or noticing your body size even, and what that was like for you?
I don't remember a point where I was comfortable in my body from being small. Never small. I was never small. I was always big. We actually have netball photos of me in primary school where my knees are like twice the size of everybody else's. I was tall for a very young age, and I definitely had like body dysmorphia from quite a young age, and I had bulimia from around the age of 13. So I really struggled with eating disorders generally, and therefore my body image. And then obviously I grew up in like the heroin chic era where like nothing tastes better than skinny feels and like all of that stuff. And then Skins, are you aware of Skins in the US?
Yes.
Yeah. So like Effie, like and her hip bones sticking out, like I kind of idolized that, and that's how I wanted to be. And I was just obsessed. I didn't know if I was big or small. It turns out I was actually quite skinny, but I didn't really realize that. And I just obsessed about wanting to be thinner, like as thin so you could like see rib bones and hip bones and all sorts. And also like my whole family has histories of eating disorders and make kind of toxic comments about body image, and less so now, but they used to a lot. And equate it to health, and that's a real issue. So yeah, that's how it started. And I got into sports, which was helpful, but then it also made me kind of bigger and stronger as well. And that was really difficult. I think I struggled to stay in sports because of like how it would affect my body size as well. But yeah, it's been like a lifelong struggle.
Yeah, and I honestly, I just think so many of us can relate to that. Anyone who grew up in heroin chic era, is like, yeah, that, I mean, it's the whole name is with a drug that literally kills you. So,
Yeah,
like, I don't know, there was no, like, really fooling, like,
no.
it's that, like, crazy thing that's, like, in plain sight, like, you put chic at the end of it, and all of a sudden we're like, "Oh, I guess heroin's healthy." Like, what? Like, it's
It's
just, like,
insane,
it's
isn't it? It's
crazy,
ridiculous.
like, when you actually, like, grow up and kind of get out of that, you know, kind of toxic, like, repetitive culture, you look at it and you're like, "Well, this is insane."
Yeah. It's
And
wild, but it was a wild time, and if you remember all the
mm,
magazine covers and everything, like everyone was just getting ripped to pieces for like very normal bodies. And if you think about it, especially as like we know now with like some of the things that are coming out about some of the men in power, that it's all kind of led by men that are attracted to people they shouldn't be attracted to, which are very
children,
thin.
yeah.
Yes, children, we
Mhm.
can say it.
Mhm.
And that's not, we're real women. We have cellulite, we have normal bodies, we look a certain way, like that's fine. And they were just
Yeah, and
ripping into women
beautiful.
because they didn't look the way they wanted them to look. And I mean, we don't want them anyway, so it's kind of
Yeah,
silly.
this is very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. So then, starting there, how, what kind of changed? Where did you start to, see your body as more of this functional vessel and start to lean into strength and the power that that brings?
Yeah. So I struggled for a really long time, and I also in tandem with that struggled with my mental health too. And then in around 2015 I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and my doctors told me that physical exercise could help. So I got into CrossFit. Actually no, I got into powerlifting first and did that for 6 months, and I found my first deadlift was like 90 kilos. I was like strong, like straight off the bat. And I had grown up on a farm, so like, there was reasons I was strong already. So I started lifting weights, and then a CrossFit gym opened up nearby, and I joined that. Fell in love with the sport, and then I started to see my body more as functional. But there was still that underlying issue of like I wanted to lose weight, and I was still like tracking stuff on my fitness pal and like all that sort of stuff. I lost quite a lot of weight quite quickly. I lost 100 pounds very fast. Which wasn't ideal. And then there was some, I don't agree with there was some of the toxic stuff within CrossFit, like the messaging around no sugar. I think that's quite problematic because like banning foods, labeling foods as like good and bad is not ideal. And like no nutritionist would recommend that either. And like that kind of fueled my like binge purge cycles as well, because I would just restrict everything, especially like kind of demonize carbohydrates around the same time as well. Carbs are great for functionality and exercise, so it's silly to demonize them. And there was the whole like phase of like paleo, and there was some toxic stuff happening. So that didn't really help. And then I started to sort of heal my relationship with food and then also my body at the same time. And kind of accept that however my body looks when I am fit is fine. And like bodies come in all different shapes and sizes. And actually the whole reason that I was in CrossFit in the first place was to be fit, not to look a certain way. And every time I tried to get skinny to look a certain way, my CrossFit would get worse. So I was like, why am I doing this? And then it became more about kind of health and happiness. And then the progression happened along a period of time where I did CrossFit for 10 years, so it's been a long journey. And I was competitive for quite a long time, like honestly chasing podiums, trying to win as many competitions as possible and doing quite well. And that wasn't healthy for me either. It wasn't chasing a body image, but I was definitely still chasing external validation. And then I kind of realized that I needed to change that too. So then all at once I sort of gave up on the whole trying to be the best that I possibly could at CrossFit and also trying to fit in a body type. And I just like backed off and I was like, I think I'm just going to do this for fun and for health. And then I ended up gaining weight at the same time for various reasons. And I just had to, and that was when I really focused on healing my relationship with food, and like actually fixing the eating disorder. And then that's kind of what led me to accepting my body for the way it is, because it was like, if my health markers were improving, which they were, then that I'm going in the right direction.
Brief interruption to remind you that there's still time. There's still time for you to sign up for Minutes in May. If you don't know what that is, you need to get in our Facebook, Stronger Together by CVG. And we are running a Minutes in May challenge. This is a community challenge we're all doing together, and we're recording some movement that we are doing as a community. At the end of the month, we will be donating to a charity for the movement that you do. Get in our group, get in with the community, and sign up for Minutes in May. It's going to be a great time. Now, you had a couple, moments there where you continuously worked on healing your relationship with food. And I just wanted to highlight that for a minute because I think that there's this kind of odd perception that once we heal our relationship with food, we like come out the other end and it's like all set. It's like, oh, I
Yay,
did it. Like
healed.
I'm healed. And it's like we've had a lifelong, um, you know, progression of trauma and disordered eating for most people
Yeah.
I speak to is trauma, disordered eating, binging, purging, not being like almost like completely off the rails at all, like completely, and then coming back to dial it in to where like it's so strict. Can you unpack with me a little bit what healing your relationship with food looked like? Like, what were some of the things that you
I
did
like you
or
said, I'm not
focused on?
completely fixed. I actually recently had a relapse and I've lost a lot of weight recently because I stopped eating properly. And still I'm still trying to get back to I'm still trying to figure out how to eat again, honestly. Because I had like relationship breakdown and all sorts happened. But it for me, like initially getting out of the real depths of the eating disorder, I started to eat with routine. I started off by like actually like making sure that I had 3 meals a day and trying to make sure that my foods were balanced, but also that I was like, so that I was making sure I was having like vegetables, like protein, carbs, fats, all that sort of stuff. And actually fats was a major one because when you diet, fats are the easiest things to cut out, but actually it really affects your hormones. So I made sure I started to actually eat fats again. And then I was trying to like address all of my trigger foods. Anything that would result in binging, anything that I was scared to have in house, I started to kind of slowly address. And I sought help from some nutritionists as well. Had a lot of help there from people that were like specialists in like healing relationships with food and body image and all of that. And that really helped. And then that's how I got off using my fitness pal and started to just eat, kind of listen to my hunger cues, which took a while to come back because I was on a TV show in the UK where they starved us. And if you know anything about being starved, it actually sends your hunger cues off completely mental. And it took a while for them to kind of normalize. It takes up to 3 years for them to get back to normal. So that's one of the things that caused the weight gain. But then there was a load of other compounding factors as well. So I had to kind of wait that out and just make sure that my body knew that I was still getting food and that I was like that I'm safe. And then my hunger cues kind of returned to sort of a baseline, which is good. So now I can eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, sort of thing. I'm less fixated on food. And then last couple of years, I've been working on some of the trauma that causes it, but then also I've had like hiccups. And then, yeah, it's a whole roller coaster that you just have to keep chipping at constantly. And with the introduction of rugby as well, it's been a new challenge because it's very adrenaline based, even more so. It's like doing a CrossFit competition every weekend. And to get food in around that, you have to eat differently, and I'm still figuring that out. I need to like front load the amount of food that I eat, because in the game's in the middle of the day and you can't really have lunch close to it, and I'm so like pumped up on adrenaline that my stomach is too fragile to get food in. So I have to eat in something carby in the morning and then try and recover in the evening, and it's such a battle, especially when you're used to eating disorder craziness. The kind of food you need to eat would not be considered healthy.
Yeah. I'm so glad you shared. Thank you so much for sharing that with us too, that like, I'm still struggling and I've recently had a relapse and I want to normalize that for a lot of people because this is this is not a like healed process. We have relapses and recognizing that like you do have triggers
Mm,
and our food has a lot of emotional connections with us, and that it varies for so many different people, what your comfort foods are or what that looks like to you when you're in
yeah,
a distressed, like emotional state, or when you've hit a major life event, like, a relationship breakdown. What are your kind of like triggers that happen, and people just being able to recognize them and like give themselves some grace
yeah.
because like these things are hard.
Yeah. The reason eating disorders exist for a lot of people is because food is one of the easiest things to control when you feel like your life is out of control. And that's certainly what happens to me. And I know that's what happens to a lot of people. It's very well documented that that's kind of how eating disorders function, because even in kids, like when they're experiencing trauma, they can restrict food. You can restrict what comes into your body and what goes out. And like that's one of the only things that some people have sometimes. So that's that's what we default to, which makes sense. And also eating gets hard when you're stressed or depressed or struggling with something, or you start putting yourself last. For me personally, that's what happened recently. Is I just got bored. I just didn't even enjoy any food at all. So I had to just start with just eating something again. It didn't matter if it was healthy or what. It was just I needed to make sure I was eating consistently because I'd lost so much weight so fast. And I had to start with liquids, it was that bad, so
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and that's
I'm
just,
alright,
you know
I'm doing okay now, but
but, coming back from that is, it's a testament to you, but also, after all of your journey, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, she doesn't struggle. She's
yeah,
on the
she's
internet.
fine.
She's such a powerhouse. She's fine." But it's really, it's messy back here.
Mm,
Like, for all
yeah,
of us, it's messy, and every life event can really trigger some of these things. And I think that for a lot of us, we want to ignore the external factors that are triggering some of these things to come back and then just
mm,
blame ourselves like, "Oh, I just don't have enough willpower," or whatever
yeah,
shame language you kind of try to use to cover up the fact that like, "No, I'm experiencing a really hard life thing right now, and
mm,
the way I'm reacting is normal, not ideal, and I need to, get my health back in check, but not that I'm not broken because I'm reacting in this way.
yeah.
I'm reacting to a stressful event."
And also, like, not feeling and validating and figuring out that stressful event situation and those emotions that come with it, that's why it sometimes comes out in controlling food, because you're trying to suppress it. So I think one of the big things for me is to be conscious and trying to work through the actual shit I'm experiencing so that I don't default to harming myself in another way, such as food.
Absolutely. Um, and I did want to, dig into, you've transitioned to rugby now.
Mm,
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's very exciting.
thanks, I love
And I
it.
think, I think it's such, I just think it's such an interesting and inspirational thing to, like, at different points in your life, you decide, like, I did CrossFit for 10 years. That was awesome. It served me in a lot of ways. I wanna do rugby now. And that shift can be really challenging for a lot of people. So just wanted to ask you, what kind of headed that off? How did you get the courage to try something new and to kind of lean into something that that you wanted to do, but that was probably pretty scary?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't actually start with rugby. It started with, so after giving birth, I knew I didn't want to get back into CrossFit fully, and I set my sights on a high rock. So I did a high rocks. I'd already done one before, but I wanted to do one. I think I did it 6 months postpartum. So I started doing couch to 5K to get myself running, and then my goal was just to complete a high rocks. And then I did that, and then I was really proud of myself. But I'm like, I don't really want to do another one. And also the tickets were kind of hard to get hold of. And I'm like, what's next? I kind of like this running thing. I like doing functional fitness. I'm not really interested in continuing to do the high skill gymnastic stuff. And I was finding if I continue to go to a CrossFit gym, I was just working on skills that I wasn't using anywhere. Like, I don't want to go in and do a handstand push up skill session when I just want to be fit and strong. So I just carried on doing functional fitness in the gym. And then it would have been August last year, I did like a beach session for rugby. I was like, I'm just going to try it out. I think I was like 11 months postpartum by that point. And like, I hate, some people have been giving me hate on the internet for that as well. When you're like, I'm like X amount of months postpartum, like it still affects you. Once you've had a
100%. Yeah.
child, you are affected for the rest of your life. I had 7 layers of fucking organs cut through. I had an emergency C-section, so it will affect me forever.
I can't even believe, like, here's the thing. I seriously can't even believe out of the most elite thing you could possibly do, create a life and bring it into this world. People are like, oh, you're 11 months. I'm 15 months postpartum and I am 100% postpartum. And
Yeah.
like that still affects me every single day.
Yeah,
Like,
and it will forever. Like, our
yeah.
bodies are forever changed, and the dickhead men that think that it's not okay to say that because you've had a kid, like, you have no idea,
The
mate. You
people who will
cannot
never
grow a
bring life
baby
into
with
this
your body.
world, we would love to know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus Christ.
okay. It took me 9 months to
Yeah,
even
so
grow this human.
oh,
Like,
it's mad. It is completely insane. They could never even. They could never
they could
cope with
never.
half of it. Not
Oh
even
my,
not even the first
never.
couple weeks. They could never. Um,
Nope.
yeah, so then I was still like, "Oh, like, is it okay to start rugby?" Like, when I still feel like my organs are trying to fit themselves back in my body,
Yeah.
like, that sort of stuff. But then I did, and I loved it. That first beach session, I was obsessed. And then I did pre-season training, and again, I was obsessed, even though there's lots of touch stuff, which is I don't like. I like full contact. I like to smash myself into people. Don't really like touch rugby. Um, so I don't know if you know much about rugby because it's not as big in the US as it is huge in the UK.
I
Um,
do know, I mean, maybe the audience needs a little refresher, but I find
yeah,
rugby very interesting, so I've seen it in person many times and, love it. I'm like, "Well,
yeah,
why do we even play football? This is awesome."
it's great. I mean, I know nothing about American football, so sorry on that front. I hear it's completely different. For me, it looks different, but with like you guys wear like armor, which I don't think it's called that. We don't wear that. We just smash and I'm a prop, so I'm like front row. I do like scrums, and I'm in there. I'm the one doing all the tackles and like getting very bruised, like, all over my body every single week, which is good fun. And yeah, so basically the whole thing in rugby is you pass backwards, you try and score tries, and you try and stop the other team scoring a try. Um, and that's how it goes. But, yeah, so there's loads of skill involved, and that was hard to learn, but I actually am a person that loves learning new skills, so I really enjoyed that. Did get very stressed, but I'm also used to kind of having anxiety and panic attacks when I'm learning new things. So, and the first like 4 sessions, I think I cried. And I'm still not very good at a lot of stuff. And then still learning loads, and it's nearly the end of the season. But I love it, and I'm gonna do it for as long as I can, I think.
I love that you no, I don't love that you cry, but I love that you said that and brought it up, because what I wanna ask you is, so what typically happens for a lot of people is that, something is hard and they find it upsetting or challenging, and then they're like, "Well, I just gotta stop."
Yeah.
What what do you do in those moments to keep coming back? Because I can see that you love it. When you talk about it, you light up. You found something that truly brings you some joy, but also
Yeah.
that makes you cry. So, and I feel
Doesn't make me cry much
personally,
now.
but when you're first getting started, you have to get over that hump, right? To find something that will really make you light up, that will really change your life. You have to get over this really like weird and awkward part where
Yeah.
you know, have anxiety and you have all of these, you know, imposter syndrome, just thoughts and feelings that come up when you're trying something new. And so many people experience that just when they go into the gym. So I want to ask you in those moments, like, what do you say to yourself? What are some tools that maybe people could steal from you, to steal some of your bravery to keep doing the thing that they would like to try?
I would love to have a good answer to this, but I'm not gonna have one because I think it's my upbringing. I think it's just the way I am. I'm a multi-sport person. I've done 15 to 20 new sports in my lifetime, and doing new things is just what I do. I have a quote downstairs that's like, bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's when you keep going even when you're totally terrified. And I think that's probably something to do with it. And I just, if I like something, if I like something and I think I will like it, I'm quite good at like not being overcome with the emotion of being shit at it first. In fact, I kind of like being shit at stuff and getting better. Quite like delayed gratification, I guess. But I think a lot of it is practice of trying something new, persevering, and feeling the achievement of like overcoming being bad at something and getting better. I mean, like, everybody that has done CrossFit has done that multiple times over with lots of different skills. We've all felt shit at pull-ups or double unders or whatever, and we've all got better and progressed. And it's just like that, except you're doing it with a whole new sport with a load of rules that you don't understand and feeling like you're letting a whole team down, which is not fun. But they're partly to credit for it. Like, they're lovely. Like, the rugby community is so welcoming and like so kind a lot of the time. Sometimes they're quite hard on you, but I think I need that though. Like, I think you find the sort of vibe that you need. Um and you do just get through it. I think it's fair that some people are not built that way though. I think some people need and maybe look for an easier time in like exercise, and it's okay to look for an exercise that you enjoy and that it's easy for you to get into and just stay there. Like, that's okay. But if you're somebody that likes a challenge and wants a bit of adversity, wants to be dedicated to something that you're going to be shit at for a while, then there are loads of sports out there that could be fun.
You know, I know that you feel like, "Oh, that's not a great answer," but I do feel like it's a great answer because there's a lot of things to pull from that, and a lot of it boils down to the story that we tell ourselves. Like, you have said, like, I'm resilient, like, I will keep trying if I want something, and I will keep coming back and push through the hard things because, like, I will, you know, I'll go for the thing that I want, and I
Mm.
think that that story that you have a great foundation for the story that you come back to, that you've built over time. And I think for a lot of people, an adjustment to the story that we tell ourselves, either I'm a person who gives up on things when it feels like they're too hard, or even if I want it, I'm just going to stop doing it because I'm not a person who keeps my promises. I'm not a person who finishes things, whatever it is. That story, if it's not serving you, it has to stop. And we
Yeah.
have to find some new language to say, yeah, I feel anxious about this, but I'm going to keep showing up and
I think
finding a
that's part of it.
community
It's
that
like
supports.
validating those feelings. Like, yeah, I feel anxious about this. Like, it's okay for me to feel anxious about this. It's brand new. I'm only human. And I do say to myself, I can do hard things. Like, that's definitely something that I say to myself frequently. And it's definitely something that got me through those first stages. And also, I often like kind of reframe what I'm going through in comparison to other experiences, and I'm like, rugby's fucking hard. Like, some of the skills are fucking hard. But you know what else was hard? Olympic weightlifting. and like and I got good at Olympic weightlifting. I analyzed my technique to like minute detail and fixed tiny corrections. I had so much going wrong with my lifts when I started, and over the 10 years I got better. I'm like, if it takes me 10 years, I'm gonna be good at rugby. Like, I think that's the other thing, is not having a time frame, just being like, I am just gonna
Yes.
keep going until I'm better. and I don't care how long that takes me.
Yeah, because
It's that.
what's the point? We're here. We're here
Yeah.
on this earth.
What
Like,
else am I gonna do? Like,
what
if
else
this
am
is
I
the thing
gonna
that I
do
wanna
but
do,
get
I'm
that
gonna
or
try.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
try. We're gonna take a quick break to get you a whole bunch of friends.
Do you like Friends?
We have about 80,000 amazing women friends, more than that, in one space that can't wait to cheer you on in your fitness journey.
Whether it's lifting you up, getting you motivated to get to the gym, complimenting your outfit, we have gathered 80,000 of the best women on the planet and put them all in one place for your friendship pleasure.
Honestly, I would just like pull out some of the amazing quotes from the group because, like, you would think groups like this, you're like, I don't know. And I'm telling you, once you enter in the door, the virtual door, because you can do this anywhere, that you will find the most supportive community you have ever known. And it's called Stronger Together by CVG. You can find us on a Facebook group. It's a closed group, women only, and you got to get in there.
Get in there. It's so inspiring. Join us today.
I wanted to go back to, a time when you lost a lot of weight because, a lot of people had said you must be eating really healthy and exercising more. And you said, no, that's not it.
No.
Can you tell us what was going on there?
Depends. There are many times. People say really well, right? But they don't. Restricting, like, especially the first time I lost 100 pounds, I just heavily restricted, stop eating carbs altogether, only ate really low fat foods, pretty much like steak and eggs or chicken breast, barely any vegetables at all. I was barely eating and I was over exercising like loads, and you don't have to do that to lose weight, but that is what I did. And when I eat healthy, I typically do weigh heavier. I exist in a body that isn't supposed to be that small.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and there's the whole theories, there's lots of science around set point weights, that kind of stuff. You could
Yeah,
look
we
into
did
that,
a
but
whole
like,
podcast episode on set point
oh,
weight
there you
theory.
go. Yeah. So that's the thing. I had to really restrict to get to a very light weight, and I wasn't athletic or healthy when I got there. I was having heart palpitations, my sodium was all weird, I was fainting all the time, like, it was bad, and I wasn't even low on the BMI scale. So, and then more recently when I lost loads of weight, I was just eating fucking junk and like just not eating enough. But
Yeah.
I was actually eating like chocolate and cheesy pasta, pretty much all I ate recently, because that's all I would want to put in my body. And I just didn't want to eat food at all. And biscuits, I basically just wouldn't eat, and then I'd eat a biscuit. And I lost about 3 stone, I reckon, maybe more.
Mhm.
Just being really unhealthy. And like, that wasn't on purpose. That just happened because I was so stressed and I didn't want to eat.
Yeah. I love when, I love when people share too about like when you lost weight, I was really unhealthy. Like that's a really important thing to kind of put out into the world that when you see other people experience significant weight loss, that doesn't mean that they're healthy, that doesn't mean they're well, that doesn't mean that they are doing well in this world.
No.
And I want to know like what your experience was with people around you or people, being like, "Hey, congrats on losing the weight." How does that feel? How do we kind of navigate that? What would be more helpful in those situations? I think this would be like important for people to heal.
My way of navigating it. It's probably not good. When I was in my eating disorder, I was loving that. Obviously, yeah, like, tell me more, how great I look. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna make myself lose more weight because that's what I'm seeking, the validation for being skinny. Like, so what the reframe there is, if you're complimenting somebody that has an active eating disorder, you are congratulating them on their eating disorder. So don't do that because that's not what you want to do. And then more recently, because I've lost weight, even my nan, who is like dying in hospital, she's actually doing a bit better now. She's probably not going to die, but she's old, so she like it's happening. And she's struggled with eating disorders her entire life, and she's still, up until recently, in her late 80s, has been trying to lose weight, which is insane to me. Imagine wasting your life doing that. And then the other day, she was like, "Oh, have you lost weight, Beth?" do you know what's really important? Being healthy. And I'm like, now the reason I've lost weight is because I wasn't eating and I was being unhealthy. And like, and I obviously wasn't going to say to her, like, the reason you are here is because you've tried to lose weight. Because part of it is that she won't look after herself, like, because the framework of what looking after ourselves is, especially in my nan's mind and other people of other generations, is just being skinny. And when you actually get down to the science of it, people with a higher BMI, especially in later life, but also when we get ill, survive longer because you've got more resources. So, and I was literally saying this to my nan. I was like, actually, nan, people that are plus size survive longer in later life. Like, I didn't say it directly, but I can be quite direct when people are saying like, "Oh, you've lost loads of weight." I'm like, "Yeah, I was depressed." Like, I just won't.
Yeah.
I don't sugarcoat it because maybe I'm a knob, but I also think they should stop doing that. So sometimes I'm just honest, and I posted a reel about it as well. Like, I just listed all of the things that had gone wrong and why. And
Yeah.
because I know people will look at me and be like, "Oh, you've lost so much weight. You look so much healthier." And I'm like, no.
You know what? Honestly, I'm thankful for your directness in that response because we have to start to change the narrative. We have to start to change the interactions with like, congratulations, you just lost so much weight when like
Mm,
that's not the reality of the situation. And it's such an important and great point. Like people later in life, like a higher BMI is literally going to extend your life.
yeah,
You are going to be more resilient to falls. You are going to be someone who is able to be on this earth longer. And I cannot wrap my head around the fact that we have that information, but the societal pressures of being skinny override the fact that you will extend your life. Like,
literally.
you will
Literally.
have
And
the
your podcast is called
ability.
Thick Thighs Save Lives. They literally do. Leg circumference is it has a direct correlation to lifespan. Literally. Literally. And people just can't get their head around that. And then also there's this whole thing lately with Ozempic and like how it's
Yes.
affecting bone density, and like weightlifting is obviously a real help for that. But like there's it's not about health. All these people trying to get skinnier, it's often not about health, but sometimes they think it is about health because they think skinny is healthy, and that's just not how it works.
That's why the crux of so much of this information has to move away from equating skinny to healthy because it's so problematic in actual ways that make you healthy that like
Mm,
we have to just blow that up because it's it's counterintuitive. It's hurting what actually makes us healthy by reinforcing this. And when it comes to bone density, like osteoporosis for women is the silent killer. Like
yeah,
that is it's a real thing that like women are more likely to suffer from falls and then lose their independence. They're more likely to break a bone after the age of 60. Like these things are very, very real.
mm,
And when you think about what are you training for, like I'm training to be the strong grandma. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Like my 8-year-old
Like,
self that can still get off the loo on my own. Like I'm training not to end up like my nan. Honestly, like that's. I mean, what I definitely want to be independent when I'm older, and you can see the difference. It's so clear, and like the literally the track of how it happens is you fall, you break a bone, you get an infection, and then you die. Like that, if you want to stop that, and then also when it comes to stuff like rugby, it's really clear. There are people in rugby that strength train, and there are people in rugby that don't do as much. And because strength training creates so much bone density, people with denser bones are less likely to get fractures. So even now, if you're playing a sport that involves something that might cause bone breaks, like maybe you're a skier or a mountain biker or a rugby player or anything that could involve collision, having denser bones now is helpful, and then it also takes years for that to go. So I haven't done any weightlifting in a couple of weeks. That will have no effect on my bone density. It will have an effect on my muscle mass, but not on bone density. Takes years and years, and a lot of it you don't even lose. So you're like banking health essentially by doing stuff like weightlifting and things that are healthy for you. But it does mean that you're going to be heavier because denser bones are heavier, bigger muscles are heavier.
and heavier is not bad because it's literally going to save your life.
Exactly. Literally. Literally.
If you had someone who is currently struggling with their body image right now, if you had one piece of advice for them, what would it be?
Um, Throw away the scale, focus on what you think healthy habits are, and just focus on that. And I think that's the main thing, is because we all know what healthy habits are, don't we? And also, like, not diet habits, healthy habits. So not tracking calories, but like actually making sure you eat fats, carbs, proteins, vegetables, letting yourself have treats and stuff, drinking enough water, going to the gym, walking, getting out in sunlight, like all of the little habits that are helpful for health, just do them and just get rid of the scale. Stop measuring yourself, stop trying to fit yourself into clothes that you feel like you should fit in, buy some new fucking clothes. Like,
Buy some new
focus on
clothes.
health.
You know, I had that when I was pregnant, that I was like, why am I still, I would get so frustrated. And it wasn't that I was, mad at my baby belly, but I was so frustrated every time I was getting dressed because I was like, nothing works. And then I was like, Kelsey, just get new clothes,
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Do you know what the
Like-
real hack is though? Getting clothes that are stretchy or like wrap design clothes, because then you can just adjust them with your body and you don't even notice if you've gained or lost weight. Because I
Yeah.
hate getting a new wardrobe and I have to do it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's much more comfortable because it's like, this stretches. This is really nice anyway.
Yeah.
Leggings are great for that, guys.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
if there, and I know that, since you've become a mom, you've said you found some peace and time for yourself. What do you enjoy doing when no one is kind of calling your name? How old is a boy or a girl?
A girl, yeah, I don't say her name online.
Yeah.
She's 19 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cute.
Is gorgeous. She's got a really good vocabulary. She's very chatty, and she's amazing. But me and my now ex-partner split up, so I'm a 50-50 parent, and it means that I do get some free time as well, which is cool. And
Mhm.
the answer to what do I do is rugby.
Yeah.
And like read, I guess,
Yeah.
and go to rugby
Finding things
socials.
that, bring you joy again, because I think
Yeah,
postpartum, a lot, you get sucked into all that they're doing, and then you're like, what do I
you forget how
what
to
do
be a
I
human.
Yes, that's such a great way to say it. Like, you forget how to be a human, and you're like,
Like an
well,
individual.
yeah. Like, and that affects your nutrition too, because then you're like, well, you put so much, I did this. I put so much effort into making my son, an awesome meal, and I would literally just not make anything else. And I'm like, there's another human here. He's no longer inside. So
Yeah.
when he eats, like, I'm not full.
Yeah.
Like, I also
Yeah.
need a meal. Like,
Do you know what's liberating though? It's just like eating stuff on the go. Like because when I'm not parenting, I'm like, oh my god, I only have to feed myself. Like,
yes.
is that real life? Like, it's crazy, crazy. I
Is
can just
that
have a
real life?
sandwich for tea. Like, what is this?
I keep going like, is
Crazy.
this kid hungry again? Like, he just keeps eating
Oh
all
my
the
god, yeah,
time.
they eat so much.
Oh my goodness. And you love reading as well.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so I know you had a great piece of advice for our listeners. I wanted to touch back on some healing things with food that, just starting with something like, I'm going to make sure I have 3 meals today and they're going to include something nutritious. I'm not going to cut out anything extra, like, crazy. I'm just going to make sure, like, I am actually eating 3 meals today because I deserve to feel good in my body and
yeah,
feed my body well and give it nutritious food. And really, that can be, heading off, healing a relationship with food.
yeah. 100%. And also, like, what can I add that really helped me is like, what can I add to make this better for me, healthier for me, more nutritious? And then, even if you're really struggling with food, and let's say, for example, you're eating like instant noodles, if you think, what can I add? Well, I could probably add some like frozen vegetables to it, or some pre-cooked chicken, or just something to make a food that is suboptimal. And maybe you're depressed, and maybe you're really struggling. And there's nothing wrong with instant noodles. They're just noodles that are easier to cook. They're still the same makeup as like the regular noodles, but it's like, how can I add something to make it better for me and make me feel a bit healthier? Or what could I add to it? Maybe I could have a smoothie with it, or that. I think that's quite helpful.
I love that. Is add instead of taking away. Um, This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and
No
just for
worries.
sharing your journey with all of us who get to follow online because, um, it takes a lot of bravery to put yourself out there, but it's so
Thanks.
worth it for a lot of, us sitting back who get to enjoy and watch it. And I know you put yourself out there and you get these, where do they come from? I don't even the depths of hell.
Like the red
Trolls.
pill incels.
Yes.
Yeah. The men that
100%.
have never touched a woman in their life.
No. Just so you know, those of us boy moms are raising better for your daughters,
Yes.
so
Good.
don't worry. We've got this under
Thank you.
control.
My
Because,
sister's a
my
boy
main
mum as
goal
well, so
yeah, my main goal in life is, well, that won't be him, he will never go on the internet and,
he will
think to
never hold a
tear down a
podcast
woman.
mic.
Yeah, he will never. You need you need to have a permit for that, and you guys don't qualify.
Oh my god.
But thank you so much for sharing,
That's
and I just
okay.
wanna let my audience know where they can find you, where they can hear more from you, and honestly, I talk to so many of my listeners about doing a social media cleanse and following the right people, following the right messaging, and you're someone that I believe that messaging is something that we should surround ourselves with and hear more from, so where can they find you?
Thanks. I'm sporty Beth on pretty much everything. I have been a bit bad at posting lately, but I'm going through an identity crisis, honestly. And we're starting a new sport. It's I don't really know what to post anymore. But on the following people, that also we need to update that advice on with the algorithm the way it is, it just recommends stuff from you. So if you're try not to like stuff that is like skinny talk and try and make sure you extra like and engage with stuff that is the stuff you want to see. So if you want to see people with bodies like mine or people that talk positively about food, then engage with that content because that's the biggest issue that we have is that we basically stop posting content because the only engagement we get is from the red pill guys.
Just looking to do nothing good for this world. Just tear it
Exactly.
down.
And
You know
honestly,
what?
that's part of the reason why I post a lot less because my content's just stopped reaching the people that I was helping and just started reaching the people that hate me. So
Ugh, you know what? There's a design behind that algorithm, and I don't know how to
yeah.
tear it down, but this is my start.
Well, the only thing
With
that
the
we can
Thick
do is
Thighs
just engage
podcast.
with the stuff we want to see.
With the stuff we want to see and build it up. Don't just, like it, comment. The more, I know there's research behind this too, but the more you are positively putting out into the world of not even, we want good self talk to ourselves, right? We want to be yeah, girl, you're killing it. But if you start using that language for other people, sometimes it's easier to
Mm,
do it for other people first. You will internalize it. You will start to become a more positive person looking for that type of language. It will become more natural for you. And sometimes the easiest way that you can do it is to start with, a stranger on the internet telling them how amazing they are.
yeah, that's
No
so
harm in
true.
that.
Yeah.
We're so much more likely to get this a stranger telling us what we're doing wrong and it's what, no one asked you, rather than the same people are out there who are ready, not the same people, but that are ready to say you are doing amazing, you are such an inspiration to me. So that's my advice for a lot of people, is to just start to put that out there. You will internalize
Yeah.
it, you'll get the right algorithm on your side, and you'll start to find this whole other, you know, sphere of people that are really changing the world for the better.
hmm Yeah. And also fight against the skinny talk of it all at the same time.
Yes. Oh my God, so toxic. We're not going back to that. We're just goodbye. We're not going
Yes.
back to that. We are
We've
we are
done that. We've
headed
lived through
forward.
that once already. Those of
And
us that are
and
old enough, we're not doing it
we
again.
won't do that to our daughters.
No.
No.
As
We
a
will
mum of a
not.
daughter, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I have a daughter too, she's 4, and I was absolutely not. We are not doing that. She comes to the gym, she sees me lift weights, this is what we're doing,
Yeah.
this is what's normal, and she's gonna think why would you do that? I hope. It's my hope. I don't know. But thank you, Beth, so much for coming on, and all of our listeners,
That's
please
okay.
check her out. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.